Good evening, everybody. It's a beautiful day. I want to thank God for another great day tonight to have in His presence as we observe our first day of fasting and prayer here in Kingdom Arena, Luton. I'd like to welcome those of you online who are joining me tonight, both on Facebook and YouTube. We're just going to spend the next 1 hour to look on the theme of the month and the prayer points around the theme of the month. When you look at the theme of the month, it looks abstract, but then when we consider the context in which the word excellent appears in the Bible, it's not really abstract. It is quite descriptive of actions. It is quite descriptive of the things we do and how we do those things. As I was mentioning during the church service on Sunday anyway, and so tonight we're going to briefly look at that word excellent and see what prayer point can we derive from that. And in my preparation, I see it's quite there's quite a lot of prayer points we could extract from the Bible when we consider where the word excellent shows up, even though we are particularly focusing on the one for the book of Philippians chapter 1 verse 10. And so we're going to start to look. We're starting off on the one for Philippians 1:10, which is a very scriptural verse for the month, and it's taken from the book of from the version, King James Version. And what does it say? It says that you may approve things that are excellent, that you may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ. That is very interesting. So excellence becomes the manner in which certain things are done. And I'd like to actually read it from Philippians 1 verse 10, but from the TPT, the Passion Translation. How does it say? It said, this will enable you to choose the most excellent way of all, becoming pure and without offense until the unveiling of Christ. He said this will enable you. So what he started off with has to do with the love of God, knowledge, insight, revelation, and discernment. He said when we have all this combined together, I'm saying it in context now because it didn't start from verse 10. It actually starts from it started from verse 9 actually. He said, I pray, and this I pray, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and discernment, so that he says, so that you will enable to choose. So in other words, the love of God is contained, of God expands with knowledge and discernment and insight in our heart, because it's shed abroad in our heart. He said, but if this knowledge sits in the context of discernment, if it sits in the context of knowledge, insight, he said it will help us to be able to choose the most excellent way. I hope that explains why excellent becomes the watchword. But you see, the excellent becoming the watchword is not enough. It has to stem from the base of love. It has to stem from the base of love sitting in the context of insight and discernment. So it is it now becomes very important for us to be able to choose. When we have all those things in place, we'll be able to choose the most excellent way. And now, I like the slant that TPT brought to it. It said choose. So what we are talking about, to walk in an excellent way, is a choice. It is not something that is enforced. It is not something that is imposed. It is something you consciously choose. Consciously choose. It is something that you consciously choose to walk in. In other words, you choose to be your best, having an understanding, a background understanding of insight, a background understanding of discernment, that is being able to see beyond the facade, motivated by love. And so our prayer tonight is going to focus on these areas. But then I also found out that this clause that we're talking about, approving of the things that are excellent, was particular to Paul. And Paul used it again in the book of Romans chapter 2 verse 18. It says, "And know his will, and approve the things that are more excellent." In fact, he even said more excellent here, as opposed to approve the things that are excellent. But he said, approve the things that are more excellent, be instructed out of the law. In other words, what he's saying here is this: the Father word, he said, you have approved of things that are excellent. Just in the same token that we read in Philippians 1:10, that based on the motivation of love, that sits in the that sits surrounded by discernment and insight, you may approve of things that are excellent. So what that means? What does that mean? It means we have a responsibility to not walk on the periphery. We have a responsibility to go deeper than what appears, and be able to explore the depth of things that can help us to make the right decisions, that can help us to do the right thing. Okay, so tonight our prayer point is going to stem and is going to revolve around the choices we make in life. And this is very, very crucial. If you make the right choice, we will have the right consequences. We choose our consequences, and our consequences inform our choices. What does that mean? If you don't want a wrong consequence in your life, you need to examine consequences before you choose. What does that mean? Again, I say, it means God has set the consequences so as to inform us to choose the right thing. God doesn't impose on us, but He encourages us. He encourages us, and He instructs us to choose right. Why? So that it may be well with us, so that it may be okay with us. And so we have to always look at the consequences before we can say we are going for the choice. And so in this month, the prayer we're going to pray, it all goes back to wisdom. Because I also saw in the book of in the same book of I think it's in the book of Proverbs, actually, if I'm right. No, I think it's in Daniel. Yes, it's in the book of Daniel, when there was a report concerning Daniel, a testimony anyway concerning Daniel, when it was said of him, I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of, this is Daniel chapter 5 verse 14, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, And the light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in the excellent wisdom. So there are some wisdom that are not excellent, where if there is the wisdom of the world and the wisdom from above, so the wisdom of the world will not be excellent. It's the wisdom from above that will be most excellent. And so we are going to pray tonight that God will help us in guiding us as we make crucial decisions. And you know, there are major areas of our life whereby the decisions we make in those areas can determine the rest of our life, and can determine whether we live the rest of our life in peace, or whether we read it, or whether we read it, or whether we live it in turmoil, in confusion, or in a bad circumstance, or whether we live it regretting that decision that we should have mastered before we make that decision. You have the areas of your career, you have the area of marriage, and you have the area of where to live. Some people cross boundaries, they cross borders, but it may not be God's will for them. I remember the story of a friend of mine who had the opportunity to go to America in the late 90s. Everything was given to him on the platter of gold. But he decided to go and fast and pray. God, is this something that I should take or not? And God said, no, stay in the country, this African country. And he stayed. And guess what? God opened a door for him that doesn't look like a great door. But today, he goes everywhere in the world. Right from the country. He has far more than you could have thought of ever. Because he has his own company now. He runs companies for governments, for different states in the country. So, but it was a good thing that he had to ask God. If it was somebody else, that person would have jumped at the opportunity. This is the opportunity to check out of the country where it appears as if it's going nowhere fast. But he stayed there. He stayed there, and God took him through so many areas. Today is fully established. Honey, millions of dollars. Not even the local currency is not a big thing for him. So you can see the area of location is very, very important. That you don't go where everybody else is going. Just as you can see, because when economic conditions come up, people tend to hear quick to move away. The same thing applied to Isaac and Gerar of Philistine in Genesis chapter 26. There was famine in the land, and everybody was moving to Egypt. But God intervened because his father had gone into Egypt